Good morning again from a very, very windy landscape and lots of rain. Just so you know, if you hear the sound of water coming in, then that's because it is. I've had to put towels everywhere as the gutters seemed as though they're going to overflow again. Whichever way, this morning's video is about Pilates, the length and the breath. In other words, the length, the posture, the spine, the joint spaces, and only the breathing will make that happen. I've decided to use a blue ball for this moment. If you don't have one, it's not going to change your life. If you have one, that's wonderful. So we're going to start the session with the blue ball between the thighs, but not gripped. In other words, your thigh bones know it's there, and you can feel a gentle easing of the arches coming away from the floor, as it were. Your standing position is parallel. The standing work is simply to create this length and this space, which the breath wants to give you back. Relax through your feet, check down, make sure your arches haven't collapsed in and your ankles haven't collapsed in, that sense of them just being elevated. The first space in your body is the arch, so if that's disappeared, you have to welcome it back in, and if you have to use a prop, then that's great, the blue ball will help you do that. You start your breathing in and out and keep the natural form relaxed, so the inhaling through the nose and the exhaling through the mouth. Because you're in your own space, you can make your breathing as deep and as kind of voluminous as you want to, and you can explore training the breath to inhale deeply into the sides of your rib cage and breathe out through the mouth, feeling the whole of this trunk area connect. Keep this breathing going and slowly roll the shoulders up towards the neck, and on the exhaling feel as though you deposit them back a bit further back than they would have gone otherwise. Inhaling in through the nose and breathing out. And remember, the ball has a gentle connection. Your pelvic floor is able to pull upon the ball in your mind. If you want to close your eyes while you do a few more shoulder circles, do so. The whole of this workout would be inviting you to find space and a sensation that often we lose. And when life's so loud, and COVID's made life very loud in certain places, called anxiety. So if you can feel safe and relaxed, inhaling, and allowing your breath to free up the spaces in you that have become a little bit stagnant and closed off. We're going to take the shoulder circles the other way around. Start to tune in to what it feels like for your scapula, your shoulder blade, to slide and pull towards its other partner behind you, and then almost like come forwards and the collarbone area shorten in front of you. The breathing in and out, if all you want to sense is a gentle rhythm of movement, as long as you're breathing, you're going to restore something back that gets taken. We're going to do 2 or 3 more of these small ranges of movement, but your standing position is rehearsing a neutral stand, a strong without a jagged, as it were, stand. In other words, nothing's overworking. Allow your arms to stay still now. Become aware of the ball between the thighs and make sure that your arches are still active. Next position is to do your pelvic tilting. So thumb on the last rib, fingertips to your hip bones. Keep your knees soft, you lucky out leg people. Breathing in and out. The breath out will be the tiniest pelvic tilt because the ball actually inhibits an overly big move. Inhale and feel the pelvis rock backwards. If I was to show you the side view, you'd notice there's a very minimal movement, and I've got quite an pronounced lordosis, in other words this curve here. But the breath out allows the pelvic floor and the internal oblique to tilt the pelvis without the bum squeeze, and the inhale allows the pelvic position to float back again. Exhaling, remember, to find space, you connect the breath to the action, and to keep the space, you repeat. So the breath out, pelvic floor, navel, spine. You might feel the ball does a little bit more of a squeeze through the adductor area here, and inhale, releasing back. So you can't force, you can only find in Pilates, and Pilates really is finding the spaces that you lost and then finding the strength to make sure those spaces stay and can be used for moving the body. And again, if you want to have one hand at the base of the ribs, one hand to the pubis, lower pelvic area, then do that also. Exhaling, finding that liberation of the lower back as you use the right muscles to create movement of the pelvis using the breath. Stay within your space that is your neutral, and that means whatever you're doing must feel comfortable. So I'm not going to force a perfect neutral because of the age and stage of our lives. Keeping that neutral position that's yours, nothing's happening to the lower back. You feel some inner work through the thighs and you feel your abdominals gently activating. We go back to the shoulders. You're going to inhale and float your arms forwards. Exhale, open them wide. And inhale, float them to the ceiling and lift your shoulders all the way up towards your neck. Exhale, retrieve the shoulder blades down. And then inhale, come all the way down again. And exhale, core connect. Inhale, float your arms up. Exhaling and inhale. Exhale, pull your shoulders down, visibly getting more space, and then float your arms all the way down. If your breathing doesn't quite match my pattern, don't worry. I want the breathing for each phase of movement. The breathing, whether it's an in or out, and the breathing, whether it's in or out, and the elevation, and then the pulling down and floating down. You're going to do it all in one inhale to there, and then exhale, lift your shoulders and hug up to your chin. Inhale now, let your shoulders come down, and then exhale, core connecting. If all you see this as being, we're going all the way forwards and open with one part of the breath. We're going up and elevating, lifting the shoulders with the other part. We're starting to connect through the core as we pull the shoulders down and the arms down, and that's much more of a strength repositioning. So if all you're doing is managing to create the movement whilst breathing, then life will go well for you. Lifting and lowering. I'm going to go once more at this. Breathe in and float forwards and wide. Breathe out and lift your shoulders deliberately. Breathe in and hold for a moment, lift. Breathe out. Pull your shoulders down, navel to spine. And inhaling, let that go. Allow one shoulder to circle, inhaling and exhaling. So you can do a whole circle on one part of the breath, and on the other part, you're going back the other way. So if in the previous activity you felt some pinching going on in the shoulder, you're asking the body through the breathing and the kind of circular action to restore that space back. We're going to go the other way. Now, when you do the shoulder going backwards, up and forwards, be conscious of not pinching it forwards as in rolling it in. You never really want the shoulders to roll in. Last time, and so it's the forwards and back, backwards and forwards even, backwards and forwards with the breath. The breath keeps your trunk. These are your last moments here, and let that go. Now your shoulders should feel alive and your trunk most certainly living. You change your position using your ball between the thighs still, and you're ready for doing a squat and a holding breathing pattern. So find your first squat and stay. Put one hand at the base of the ribcage again, one hand at the pelvis. You can feel the connection of the ball between the thighs. You're inhaling and breathing out. You will physically feel the ribcage move. So the breathing you're doing here is hydrating and connecting your thoracic spine, the ribcage spine to the shoulder, and your pelvic spine, which is your pelvic area, to the lumbar area. You're inhaling, and then the midriff on the breath out goes. The monitoring of the belly, the abdomen, as the inhale widens and broadens, and the breath out then takes the space and keeps it by creating muscular structure. And okay, with your next breath out then, you'll do your pelvic tilt. So you breathe out, you still feel the rib cage place itself, but the pelvis tilts and the lower hand senses and feels that flexion. You breathe into it and then you breathe out and your pelvis and abdomen lengthen again. Exhaling to create that length in the lower back, pelvic floor. Sense the ball between the thighs. The hip bones tilt, doing a smile across the lower abdomen area, and you take it back again. You're going to do two more here. It matters that the breath out, you'll notice if you're looking, I create no change of move from the lowest part of the thoracic spine, high waist, think of it as. It really is tailbone, sacrum, and into the lumbar, lengthening out the joints here, the series of joints in your spine, and you've got one more. It's the pelvic floor. You know where your heels are. And it's are releasing but not relaxing. Ready for the other part of the spine, which is your thoracic. If your hands are under your pec area or under the breast area, on the next breath out, bend over your hand and you'll experience the rib cage and the shoulder flex. Inhale and breathe out and pull your shoulder blades back again. You can hear some banging in the background, don't worry about it. Exhale and it's rib cage. I have to remind everyone we're an industrial unit. And coming back again and again. Exhale, this bend, it creases. And the evidence of the bend being in the right places. The mid-thoracic to the neck, the cervical spine, has its proper bend position, frees up space in the upper thoracic and returns back again, keeping that space. We're ready now to roll down. You've been using all of this time, the stability from the side bottom to the hamstrings. As you're carrying on breathing while I'm talking, you're aware of the ball. Keep your hands then to the knee joint area. As your breath out then allows the use of the space you created through the breathing. You'll roll down until you end up with your hands to the floor. This is where we do the thoracic breath, inhaling and exhaling. So just here, your shoulders are pulling away from your neck, your head is hanging, and the breath out is pulling your abdomen away from your thighs. You're breathing in and breathing out. Inhaling and exhaling. Breathing in, and that shrinkage away is the breath out, activating the muscles to take the space you found. Changing positions then, you're going to walk into your long arm plank. Ground yourself through the hands, feel for the ball, shoulder blades. Inhaling, allow your shoulder blades to slightly come together, and exhaling, push the ground away. Inhaling, keep the shoulder blades sliding, and breathe out and pull them away. If you need to put your knees down, that's fine. Whichever way, scapula pull together and scapula pull away. The scapula, shoulder blades, slide in towards the spine on the breath in, and they slide away down the sides of the rib cage on the breath out. People, the next time you find yourself with the breath out, stay in your neutral, pull your knees down if you haven't already, and just walk your hands back under your shoulders a tad. Use your breathing in, toes are ready, exhale, feel for the ball, shrink the tongue, and look down for your knees. You've now added that bend of the thoracic, but not the lower back. Push up into the air, leading with your lower back, tailbone area, sit bones, and then exhale, press the heels down. You can keep your rib cage bent, inhale and up to tiptoes. If you feel you want to walk your hands a bit further back, exhaling to get the ground to connect. Inhale, elevation, exhale, navel to spine, and heels reach. And this is another place where you should experience the rib cage shrinking in because you're bent halfway down the thoracic area. If you can keep your shoulders away from your neck, do. Whatever you mustn't stop the breath out connection as you draw up through pelvic floor, navel to spine, and feel as though you disappear the last two ribs into the belly area. All right, the next time you find yourself on tiptoes, keep your head where it is and watch those knees lower down, and you find yourself back into all fours. Stretch out the feet so that your feet are flat to the floor, in other words, soles of the feet to the ceiling. Breathing in and out then, on the next breath out, let your arm float out sideways. Hold that position. We're back to thoracic breath in a relatively flat or neutral spine. On the next breath out, you'll thread your arm, bending it, and it goes under. And when you can't go any further under, you're going to hinge backwards and get your shoulders to the floor. Looking in the opposite direction, obviously breathe in and out. In and out. When you feel the next breath in, pull yourself back up and place the hand back under the shoulder. Inhaling and exhaling is an absolute fundamental. Let your other arm reach out to the side. You're breathing in and out, your shoulders are away from your neck. You're aware of your trunk. As the breath out happens, fold the arm at the elbow-ish and start that journey of turning, turning, turning until you can get your shoulder down to the floor. Don't be afraid of hinging back if that's your only way down there. Keep the pelvis square but hinged at the hip. You're breathing in and out. In and out. You can feel the breath shrinking and bulging or broadening the abdomen. And on the next inhale, flow yourself back up. Exhaling, core connect. Now inhale, we're going to go fluently at this. Exhale and fold under. Inhale and fold up. Exhaling to stabilise. Inhale, under you go. Down we go. That was an exhale in truth. Inhale, come back up. We'll go through this once more. Breathe out to switch. Breathe out then to rotate. Breathe in to find the ground pushing away, and breathe out to return the hand. Inhale, final time, arm to the side. Exhaling, rotation with some hip hinge till your shoulder comes all the way down. Inhaling to find yourself back up. From here, we're going to take ourselves to the floor, and your ball is going to go under your sternum. So if you put the ball under the, on a female it's obviously the breast, men think of your pec, because if you're a male, you can probably have it a little bit further up. Whichever way, my last rib is free. Obviously, everyone's rib cage length and shape is a wee bit different, but it has to feel comfortable, it can't make you feel sick. We're using the ball now for thoracic breath. We had a moment of this a while back when I used the blue ball. So to get the body lengthened and connected, I'm going to suggest you have your feet close together, because then you're more likely to know exactly where your legs are. Allow your arms to be down by your sides, palms to the ceiling in this. Have your breath in, and as you breathe out, go folding forwards over that ball. Stay forwards with the breathing going on whilst you're forwards over the ball, core connecting, pelvic floor, navel to spine. So now you get the privilege of letting the breath press against the ball, creating expansion, and the breath out, connection. Your pelvis wants to feel as though the pubic bone is more dominant and the hip bones are most certainly light. Now we add, on the breath out, you're going to roll your shoulder blades, feel the ball, and elevate. Looking, I've got my black mat and my pad there, and I can see just pulling up through the thoracic. Inhale into where you've got to, and exhaling, melt over the ball again. Keep your arms here now. Huge inhale. Exhale as you breathe out, extend the spine. Keep your arms reaching. Breathe in, feel your shoulder blades pulling together. Exhaling. And you've folded down again. Imagine you're pressing your little fingers, keeping the pubic bone dominant, inhaling into the thoracic ribcage area, exhaling so none of this lands in your lower back. Inhale, last time. Inhale as deep as you can, and exhaling. Take your arms and reach them as far as you can. So remember, this is about length and space, and the only way of getting length and space is to breathe. You're now lengthened as you were when you were stood, but you're longer because there's no gravity. Get the breathing going in and out. Now you can feel heavy with the chest on the ball and heavy through the pubic bone. In this lengthening moment, my legs are reaching, my knees are not resting on the floor, my pubic bone is dominant, my arms are reaching. Now pull your shoulders away from your neck. So that means if you imagine you've got a tennis ball under your hands, like you're creating that little bit of a dome, it helps you draw the fingers along and you get into your lats and serrats. Keep that feel now with your shoulders away from your neck.
You're going to take one arm, whichever one we want, it doesn't matter, and put it by your side, but keep your shoulders drawn in. So my hand is by my thigh. Inhaling, and then exhale, let the arm that's still reaching lift up as your other arm reaches backwards. So I've got a oppositional pulling really. I'm letting one shoulder float up without the shoulder hoiking, and I'm letting the other armpit shoulder area activate through the oblique, through the upper back rhomboids. Now allow the diagonal leg. So I've got the same leg lifting as the same arm. When I say lifting, if you need to have a look, have a look. It looks so simple. All the while I'm breathing into the ball, willing space into the biggest part of the spine that gets gnarled up and compacted. Okay, 2 more. I can feel my hamstring, but otherwise I can feel a floaty type of action. Ready to change sides. Set yourself up first, shoulders away from the neck. Make sure your hand is wider than centered. It's really slightly wider than your shoulder. So we breathe out and remember, you're not trying to use the ball to lift. You're breathing to the ball to create your connection. If you can't lift your arm here, you can lift it in bent position, or if you can't do it, you'll just have to do the more common dart, but you can do a bigger range of movement still, feeling for the ball. Whichever way, we're now going to add the other leg. So the rules are that both arm positions are activating the shoulder. One is a pull away from the neck, the other is a stabilization side of the armpit, mid-rhomboid, okay? When the leg moves, that's your hamstring connecting you. So you're getting what we call a diagonal connection. It's myofascial. And if you use your breathing, it's most certainly restorative. Obviously, if this is hurting your shoulder, remember, it's wrong. So just do the more traditional dart with one leg coming up and down. So the diagonal line, 2 more, last time, and then put both hands here. Have your hands so that they're wider than your mat unless your mat is massively wide. So my hands are just slightly higher than my shoulders. My legs are lengthened, and on the next breath out, shrink the tummy, pubic bone dominant. Then inhale and pull yourself up and off that ball. Claim the space you've just found in the spine. Breathe again. Exhale. Let your elbows bend as you find the rib cage to the ball, and head down again. Inhaling and exhaling. Shoulder blades are together. You can feel the lengthening out of your rectus abdominis. Inhaling to get more space and exhaling. Down you go. Have a final reach. 4 big breaths here. Deliberately imagine you could burst that ball, and then slide your hands under your shoulders, breathing in, breathing out, get your toes tucked under your feet as you take yourself backwards and into the opposing stretch. And once again, if you stay here, breathing in and out, now use your thighs as the reference point for the breath in. Breathe into the rib cage area, feeling the ribs bulge against the thighs. And then breathe out and shrink everything away from the thighs. Shoulders then pull away from the neck as you take the posture and slowly slide, pelvic tilting all the way until you can find yourself up, ready for the next position. Taking the ball then, if for some of the ab work you would like a head cushion, then grab one now. We're not going straight to the lying down. You're going to do your seated work, and the first part of seated is to organise your clothing, of course. Put the ball under the breast area. I have long enough hamstrings to sit like this. Now the evidence is my pelvis is still neutral. Very few people do, and it's partly because I do Pilates daily, but my posture allows it. It's not because I'm special. So always honour your lower back. Don't try and create this kind of oh, I must do it because it's better to do it like that. It's not better to do it like that. It's better to do it in such a way that when you sit on your sit bones, you're not like this and you don't feel as though the hamstring, which connects up here, is all like gnarly. Put your hands on the ball, you're breathing in and out, and notice where the breath is. First thing to do is to relax your shoulders. We're now seated against gravity, so a lot of the space we created lying on our fronts just then, we're hoping to keep by activating the core with the breath. I refuse to sink down. I'm resisting gravity by reaching the crown of the head up. And on each breath out, feel the ball pulling my rib cage down. We're going back into that bend of the rib cage. Are we ready? Breathe in. Breathe out and feel the ball and the ribs and bend over it. And the only movement pattern comes from the rib cage to the neck. Breathe in again. And then breathe out and imagine you're pushing your ribs against the ball to pull your shoulders back again. Breathe in. Keep pulling the elbows back. Exhale. Breathe into the ball in your mind as though you're filling it with air. And then breathe out. Take the air from the ball. And use the ball to pull yourself more open than you would otherwise go. And again, 2 more. Exhale. Stay here again, breathe in. See if you can go further. Stay, breathe in. Remember, use the ball, exhale, and keeping your shoulders open. Find your way back. Now take the ball here, breathing in. Breathe out and pelvic tilt. And bend the rib cage into the place you just had it. Breathe in, the ball's between the thighs largely. Breathe out, bend the ribs where you've just been bending them, and find yourself back up again. Breathe out, shoulder blades together. Roll, so now you're rolling the sacrum, pelvic floor, navel, spine, and you're rolling to the place where your rib cage can bend. Breathe in. Breathe out, bend the ribs to where you've just been. 2 more, breathe in. Breathe the rib cage. Roll through the tailbone. Bend the ribs more. The further you go down, the more you bend your ribs. Now my lumbar spine's nowhere near the floor, which means that the bend is at the oblique rib cage like we've been doing. Exhaling and back up. Take the ball between your thighs and do exactly the same. But now you're going to start forwards bent here. This is the forwards flex spine. We do it frequently, but I'm hoping there's more space in that place now. As you breathe in and out, imagine you're expanding the t-shirt you're wearing or the bra you're wearing, that the width of the breath forces you wide and the expelling of the breath shrinks you in. On the next breathing out, draw on the ball and keep as tight as you can, which would take you probably to here. Breathe in, breathe out, keep your nose to the ball and find yourself coming up again, arms relatively by the ears. Inhale and expand the space. Exhale and roll, pelvic floor with the space, keeping the rib cage part of the abs. Breathe in, bend over your rib cage and come back. You have 1 more. Oblique, oblique, oblique. The oblique bend is here. You're working hard to keep that bend. Keep your shoulders relaxed and come back. Excuse me. Sitting up tall then, take your heels as wide as your mat is. Again, if you can't stretch your legs out, then don't. Keep them bent, but keep them relaxed bent rather than right up to your chest. I'm going to stretch my legs out. Excuse me. Take the ball and reach it forwards. And it doesn't matter which arm you're going to use, but take the other arm behind. So at this point, I am reaching backwards with one arm and I'm reaching my ball forwards. Breathe in. And as you breathe out, pull yourself into a rotation so that that ball is pointing to the opposite leg. Breathe in, breathe out, and pull the chin and bend the ribs, just like you were doing, but now there's a twist. Keep the hand connected to the floor. On the next breath out, return everything back, and then open
and lift your ball to the sky, opening the shoulder. Stay here for a moment and understand why we're doing the reach. Your chest is lifted, I'm pushing with my hand against the floor behind me, and I've taken that ball up to wherever I can take it. I am centered. Breathe into the central space, breathe out, return back. I'm centered still. I'm going to add rotation with the next breath out. Breathe into the space, breathe out and shrink. Bend, reach as far as your body allows for the stretch. Keep the hand down. Big breath into the space. Breathing out, reverse out of that space. Breathing in, reach from the space. Keep the sit bones heavy. Exhaling then and return and change sides. The ball goes, it's now central. My hand goes behind, so I know I've already got my shoulder stabilizers. I'm going to actually give you this position here. So you're here, you breathe in. Exhaling, I rotate without my shoulders rounding. Inhale into the space that you create in the spine. Exhale, and you rotate and bend. So you've got rotational bend, should I say. By keeping your hands heavy behind you, you honour the alignment. Bottom bones are heavy. On the next breath out, allow your arms to come up, up, up. Then breathe in and push the ground away with the backwards hand. Reach to the sky with the upwards reach. And as you breathe out again, claim the space you just found. Ready for a second moment. Inhaling. Exhale. Slight rotation and flexion. Sit bones are heavy, lower back hasn't shifted anywhere. Huge inhale. Claim the space. Exhale. Use the space, navel to spine. Follow that ball up and reach. It's that whole myofascial diagonal sling stuff again. Big breath in and then breathing out. Final time. Over you go in the direction of the slight rotation. Inhaling to claim your space. Keep pressing the hand behind you as you then lift, 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 lift. Reach, reach, reach. And return. And return. From that position there then, we'll go to lying down. So take the posture down. It should go easily because of what you've been doing. And you're going to place the ball under the sacrum. And I know that people loved this last time. I'm very aware that I'm out of time really for what I'd planned. So it's best that I finish you with a floaty pelvic space. I feel as though you've got a lot going on in the ribcage part of the space and the shoulder. That should feel beautifully open now. But the pelvis, now taking gravity out of this, we put the blue ball, if it's a really big blue ball, it definitely needs to be that you're squishing it. You can let some air out of these balls, people. And there's not one single blue ball that's the same, although I think we've tried to give you the size appropriate to the body. Go back to the sense of breath. You wouldn't have your head cushion under your head unless you were massively kyphotic. I can think of a couple of clients that might. But in this moment here, as long as your neck is comfortable, leave it be. Your shoulder blades should be along the floor flat, no question there. Put your thumb on the last rib, relax your shoulders away from your neck, find your fingertips to your hip bones, and start the breath that allows you to feel heavy and grounded. You're grounded on this ball. You're grounded through your shoulders and you're grounded with your feet. If you're not sure where your legs are, put your feet together. In fact, everyone put your legs together. So I can feel my heels, the outsides of my feet and my toes. With each breath I take, I'm trying to lose tension from a part of the body that possibly is accruing it unnecessarily. I've got my fingertips to my hip bones to give me feedback about where they are. And my neck is lengthened and reaching. Never assume when you lie down that your body is aligned. The only thing you can do once you're down here is look and check that the tram lines are there, look at your pelvic hip bone area, and then allow that whole sense of the shoulders square. So as you breathe in and out, I want the breath out to be pelvic floor, navel to spine, and the smallest, because that's all you'll get here, of tilts. So the tilt, no bum squeeze, just the pelvic floor and the internal oblique. Breathe into the space you've created in the lumbar, stay heavy on the ball, and allow the property of the floaty ball almost
Just bring you back to your neutral. Breathe in. Exhaling. Pelvic floor draws up. Internal, oblique, external. Close your eyes, and rather than force what you think you should be doing, discover what it is to create a connection with the breath and the deeper muscles. So your breathing out would be ribcage placement, pelvic floor drawing up under the navel area, hip bones naturally rolling, creating a bend now at the crease of the hip bone to where the waistline would be. You breathe into that space and you breathe out, trying to keep the ribcage under charge, although don't worry if you have to just let them go. Exhaling. Everything about this tiny movement pattern, if done as I'm describing, should give you something that you otherwise won't have. I would say one of the biggest corrections I'm making both to my own body and just about everyone I see is that there's that slight shift, twist, misalignment that goes on at the pelvis. You have to appreciate that your pelvis is your sat-nav. If it's skew-width, which it clearly is, then you're off-center every time you think of moving. Now, movements like this are restorative, but unfortunately because of lifestyle, they tend to last the day. Okay, the next time you pelvic tilt, stay with your pelvic tilt, breathing in and out. Now breathe out and curl up. Watch one leg go, reaching. Watch your other leg go, reaching. And then if you can, abandon yourself to the ball. So my leg's gone out, away. I am lying back. I'm going to take one arm out sideways, then the other, and have that spread eagle type approach. The only reasoning for not doing this is if it pulls somewhere in the back. In other words, the space goes. Often it can be the lumbar. So if that ball was in the wrong place, you'd simply pull it further down. And that can help the lower back. You would never put the ball under the lumbar spine. And I'm going to do more of this tomorrow and take the rest of the routine that I haven't managed to give you, because there's some beautiful work we can do with the ball under the thoracic spine, lying down. Okay, so you're allowing the legs now to roll in and out. That's rotating the femur, and that will help stretch. Medial rotation folds back into lateral naturally. That'll help stretch some of these deep big boys here in the hip. Just do one more. On the breath out, you rotate in. On the breath in, you kind of flow out and sag. People, to safely come off this ball, bring your feet totally together. Have a look at where your knees are. And then this will wake your hamstrings up. Exhale, lift the hip up. Take the ball away and roll the spine down. Now, you haven't got to dash off anywhere. I have to, because I'm teaching more sessions. All I want you to do is stay rested and see if you can allow yourself 1 minute's worth of calm breath so that you can absorb the space, the energy that the breathing gave your form. And it's a really significant moment. It's not good enough to just hammer, 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 even though we all love that. It's brilliant to give back something that life takes from the constant demand of the body. I hope you found that interesting. Please, no matter when you see it, even if it's 5 weeks from now, please feedback about it, because it helps us know what it is we can give you. If you see these moments as your personal Pilates tutor, I see enough of you and enough of bodies, literally every type of body known to man, to be able to program something that's relevant. And I had in mind the constant space and flexion that this area needs, because certain clients have been asking for this ability to move from here and not always move from the lower back. So it's a goodbye from me in wonderful Weatherland, and have a great day. See you very, very soon, I suspect.